Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom, family. Judah Jackson checking in with you. How's everybody doing, family? Well, spring has sprung in all her glory. Look at the beauty of it. Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor for King Richard a few minutes after he slapped Chris Rock. And Russia has invaded the Ukraine. There's violence, there's bombings. The United States is providing weapons and support. The inflation is high, the food prices are escalated, the gas, food's disappearing from the shelves. They're predicting a fifth vac, I have to speak in code, Ramona vac for the fall. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times, but it's still the best of times. Last week we talked about how to maintain your peace during these turbulent times. And we said that intimacy with God is the key to maintaining your peace. To know Him deeply and to know that He knows you deeply. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to me and I will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, sinners, and purify your hearts, double-minded." Now that word, come near, a couple meanings that added extra, when I looked it up in the Greek, that added extra understanding was to join or to link something together. That's relationship. And to approach. And if you are caught up in sin, it tells you to wash your hands, to cleanse your sin, to ask God for forgiveness, because you can't cleanse your own sin, ask Him for forgiveness. And then also, double-minded means you're split between your heart's affection between the world and God. So make a decision that you want Him to help you with that. And so, it may be uncomfortable or awkward when you meet somebody for the first time, like a blind date or even an interview. But one of the things that helped me about approaching God is to recognize how intimately God knows me and you. Psalms 139:3 says, "You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways." And Luke 12:3 says, "But the very hairs of your head are numbered. Don't be afraid, you are much more valuable than sparrows." Can you imagine every hair on your head? Who else knows that? Nobody. Nobody knows that but God. And Psalms 139 goes on to say, 139:16 says, Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. See, God makes things end from the beginning. It's not logical. We can't understand that in our minds. But all your days, even before you were born, were already written. He knew everything that you were going to do and what's going to happen. It's already written even before you started living it. Meditate on that, family. And this is love you're approaching. Love hopes the best. It believes the best. It seeks not its own. It seeks the best for you. This is the one that you're approaching. So one of my greatest challenges in my walk with God is personalizing His love for me. Now, I watched The Passion of the Christ, some of you might have, and it just took me to a whole nother level of understanding, to the degree that I can as a mortal, the love that God has for mankind. But it's hard for me to personalize that love for me personally. I always think like I was like a little rotten apple at the bottom of the basket and He didn't know, and I kind of like slipped through and He might not have done it for me. I know it's not rational, but feelings aren't, they just are. And so, two things that I've done that's really helped me. I'm still work in progress, but two things that I've tried I want to share with you, and I encourage you. No, I challenge you to try these two things to increase your intimacy with God. One is ask God how He feels about you. personally. I would say, well, how, do you like me? What do you think about me? How do you feel about me? And you know what? He did answer. It took like 4, 8 months, something like that. I don't know why. I don't know if it's about God or it's about me. You know, I was diagnosed as a child as hyperactive, so you know, the mind's always going. I'm distracted, easy distracted. But he did answer. This is what happened. I was out of work, and as usual, the traditional method of looking for work just did not work for me. You know, I was on the edge of eviction, couldn't pay my rent, and I went to the Urban League. They said they had this position for me that I could apply for, and you know, you get dressed, it's like an interview and everything. I go there, and it was misinformation, and something fell through. I was so upset, I was hurt, halfway frightened, but I was furious when I walked out that door. I was intensely angry. And I was walking, then all of a sudden it's like this fragrance, this sweet fragrance, I just hit a wall of this fragrance. And it just totally enveloped my whole being. I mean, totally knocked that anger, that fear, that frustration, it was gone. It's like, oh, it's like I went to another dimension almost. It's like, oh, that smells so good. And I was by the Night Jasmine in Los Angeles. If you live there, you know the Night Jasmine is there. And it was so sweet. I said, oh God, that's so sweet. And a still small voice said, that's the way I feel about you. And I just froze, straightened the halo on my horns. And it just took me to a whole nother level. And then now in the last 10, 15 years, I'm trying to figure out why he feels that way. But he did answer. I just try not to, we're human and I know we have expectations. Try not to put an expectation on how or when God is going to answer. But he will answer. And when he does, it's personal. And then number 2 is practice the presence. It's a book called Practice the Presence about a 17th century, 18th century monk that he would always practice the present. No matter what he did, he would see it as sacred and see it God around, whether he was scrubbing pots and pans, peeling potatoes, sweeping or cleaning. He would always imagine God around. And I tried this also. So like when you wake up, say good morning to God, and you might do it anyway. If you leave the room, say excuse me, God. If you're going to eat, ask God if he wants something. Watch TV, what do you want to watch, God? It got so real, family, that I stopped. Not that it's a bad thing, but it was so awesome to know that the presence of God was around me and sees all. He always does, whether you know it or not. And so I remember I was being consistent, but I was kind of like silly at it. I really wasn't taking it seriously, but I was consistent. So I said, okay, God, what do you want to watch on TV? You know, we have this, that, and that. And I'm laughing, ha ha. And the thought came to me, cartoons. And I thought, that ain't God. So I turned on a detective show or something, and the still small voice said, I said cartoons. And it wasn't me. I'm telling you, family, it is so real. And I'm going to start that again because with everything happening right now in these turbulent times, you need to know that God is that close to you. So, family, and know that, again, this is love that is close to you. Patient, kind, hopes the best, believes the best, and they don't insist on their own way. Now, if this video has added value to your life, please, family, like and share. All right, Judah Jackson signing out. Have a blessed Sabbath. Peace out.